Hi folks, TheFilipinaPea here, telling it like it is. Today I want to discuss something I hear so often in the comments section that I felt compelled to make a video about it. There seem to be a lot of preconceived notions about expats, people who, for various reasons, leave their homeland to relocate to other countries around the globe. Since my channel deals with the Philippines and East-West relations, I'll be talking specifically about the Western men who come to my country to live, often to retire. At some point, most of these men find themselves in relationships with local women, and there's a very good chance that along with the lower cost of living, finding a good companion was the reason they came in the first place. So what's wrong with that? Well, if you read a lot of the comments, you'll quickly see that a certain percentage of people, usually younger Western guys, want to stigmatize these expats by calling them the familiar term, dirty old man. What exactly is a dirty old man? A man who's lost his interest in personal hygiene? I doubt that's the intended meaning. A perverted man who's probably a peeping Tom, hiding in the shadows outside your house and peeking in windows? No, that doesn't sound like most of the older people I know. Could it be a man that dares to still have a sex drive at an advanced age? Bingo! Apparently, according to the self-appointed morality police, it's only okay to be interested in sex up to a certain point, and any interest in sexual activity beyond that point instantly makes you a cringe-worthy example of the dirty old man. No one seems to know exactly where that point is, but they all claim to know it when they see it. But says who? Certainly not evolution. Mother Nature obviously didn't get that memo, because sex is something most men are at least somewhat interested in, until the day they die. No, most of the people who like to throw this term around seem to be younger men, Western women, and a much smaller number of locals. As I discussed in my video, Are You Hated?, most locals don't mind older Western men moving to the Philippines. We recognize that an influx of foreigners is good for the economy, and also good for any lasting relationships that might develop. Most of us actually like Westerners. I know this for a fact. I live here. These are my people. Sure, there are some locals who speak badly about foreigners, but it's a surprisingly small number. Show me any society where there's not one group of people that's not prejudiced against another group of people, and I'll buy you a 4-course meal at a 5-star restaurant and sing "Hard to Say I'm Sorry" while kneeling at your feet as you dine. Nope, it's often their fellow Westerners that want to tar and feather the older guys, despite the fact that they too will be growing older a lot faster than they think. They seem to really enjoy painting the older men as somehow dishonorable and dirty. But why? As everyone knows, the older you get, the harder it is to start over, especially in the West, where older men aren't exactly a prize that's fought over. This is just a plain fact, and if you believe otherwise, you're living in La La Land. So what's a guy supposed to do when he reaches 50 or 60 and his relationship in the West explodes? Just stay where he is and accept the best mate he can attract? Which is going to be who exactly? A lot of Western women have apparently decided that they don't need or even want a man. And by the time they reach their 60s, men in general just don't hold much appeal for them anyway. So why not look for a better deal? In any other scenario, that's just considered smart. Laughing at an older guy who goes east to find companionship is like laughing at a fisherman who can catch any fish in the pond behind his house because the waters become polluted. So he decides to try a different lake where he heard the fish were biting. Is that something to belittle a man for? Or is it just the sensible way and the logical thing to do? What any smart person would do. The other comment I often read is that older expats are just losers who can't get a woman in their home country. Losers? Really? And what exactly makes them losers? If you mean they're awkward or unfortunate looking men, those can be found in every country. But why make fun of them or call them names? And I haven't found expats to be more socially awkward or less handsome than in the West. In fact, They seem like the same guys I saw when I was over there. Older men are just younger men with more life experience. So what? Does that somehow make them creepy? Not to me. And then I'll hear, yeah, but how come expats always seem to be older guys in the first place, huh? Well, that's simple economics, which shouldn't surprise anyone with half a brain that thinks about it for more than a nanosecond. It's very hard to get a job here in the Philippines, and even harder to get one that pays more than $7 a day. That fact alone means that if you come here to live, you have to have some source of savings or income that doesn't require employment in order to live here for the rest of your life. Do you young guys out there have enough money to live for the rest of your life without working? If you do, good for you. But almost no one else does. So for economic reasons alone, most men who settle here are going to be older. So where's the dirty old men come from? Well, a lot of Western folks seem to have a big problem with any relationship involving more than a couple of years of difference in age. It's the way your culture taught you to view things, which is not your fault. To some of you, the image of a 54-year-old man and a 27-year-old woman immediately brings up the impression of a controlling old pervert with a naive, innocent woman who's being tricked into all sorts of depraved sex acts. And the man is obviously taking advantage of her because who in their right minds wants a dirty old man? The logic seems obvious to you, but you're missing a few facts that are true here, but unthinkable in your country. What you guys don't understand is that some Filipinas are legitimately attracted to older foreigners, not just because of their wallets, but because they possess traits like maturity, stability, kindness. And we know they're not gonna run away as easily as a younger local guy might. But why does it seem like older expats are usually with much younger women? If they aren't perverts, why don't they find someone their own age? Well, here's the truth about that, folks. There just aren't as many women over 35 who aren't legally married. They might not live with their husbands. They might not even have seen their husbands in a decade. But they're still legally married. We take marriage very seriously here. There is no divorce. Adultery is punishable by jail time, and annulments cost many thousands of dollars and can take years to accomplish. So like I've advised you in the past, as much as you might actually prefer a 40 or 50-year-old woman, if she's legally married, run for the hills. That leaves a smaller selection of available women, and it may mean you have to look at age ranges that you weren't originally interested in. But if you end up with a younger woman, does that necessarily make you a dirty old man? And will a younger woman actually stay with you? Nah, it's certainly true that some Filipinas will partner with an expat and then have a younger local guy on the side. It's also true that some Filipinas will pick an expat just because of the financial benefits. But that same thing happens in the West too. So, buyer beware. As for the dirty old man taking advantage of the young girl, in most of the situations I've seen, it's a win-win for both parties. Most Filipinas know what we're getting into, and bad behavior on the part of the expats isn't any more common than it is in the rest of our society, and I'd argue it's a lot less. One commenter recently said, "P, you should warn your Filipino sisters about the dirty old loser expats." And warn them what exactly? They run a similar risk if they partner with some of the younger local guys that get drunk, hit them, and run off after getting them pregnant. That advice doesn't sound like I'm doing them much of a favor either. Now, there are some types of expats to avoid, but tonight, there are only two kinds of expats I want to warn Filipinos about, and they have absolutely nothing to do with age. Now, I shouldn't even have to say this, but I will. The scumbag expats who pop over here, lie to women, impregnate them, then escape the Philippines and laugh about it from some foreign country while they plan to come back and ruin someone else's life, have no place in my country. And if I could, I'd do everything in my power to stop that from happening to another Filipina. The other kind of expat I'd warn you about is the one that purposely targets very poor, very naive women and uses his financial power to coerce her into a relationship. He knows she's desperate. He knows she's vulnerable. and that's just how he likes it. The Filipina will often feel she has no choice but to go along with everything he says, because she risks losing him if she doesn't. That's economic extortion, and it has no place in a healthy relationship. To those women who feel like they're with someone like that, my advice is to run in the opposite direction as fast as you can. Don't look back. Look forward instead. Look forward to finding someone who won't rob you of your dignity in exchange for a few pesos. It's not worth it. Trust me. But again, these examples have absolutely nothing to do with a man's age. They have to do with the type of person he is. There are good and bad people of all genders and nationalities, and it's up to every one of us to know the difference between a teddy bear and a grizzly bear. But to be honest, on the whole, I had no idea there were so many genuinely nice guys who are looking to the Philippines for retirement. Not broken down old losers, but men of quality. Men who actually want to come here to try and make things better for their mates and for the country. People who want to build businesses, build orphanages, teach skills to the locals. It's incredible how compassionate some of you people actually are. Not all, of course, but plenty enough. I talk to you folks every day, and I hear what's in your minds and in your hearts, and I welcome you to join us here. Now, to those of you that'll be tempted to say, oh, she's just kissing up to her audience. She's just playing to her fan base. Let me challenge you on that. Instead of just throwing out that accusation, how about you explain where my logic is wrong? If I made a bad argument somewhere, tell me where. Everyone knows I love a good debate, so maybe we can start one in the comment section below. If, on the other hand, you can't find any way to challenge my opinion, maybe it's time to put away the bigotry before you actually get to know the individual himself. If not, aren't you guilty of the same sort of stereotyping that you say you detest in everyone else? With the ever-growing number of derogatory things people aren't supposed to say anymore? I'm sure we can find room for one more on the list. The dirty old man. Well, that's it for today's Truth Bombs, and I'll get busy cooking up something new for you hungry viewers in just a few short days. Till then, folks. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your pilot, helping you keep your nose up and out of trouble here in the Philippines. The main thrust of my videos is to keep you entertained and informed about the culture here, so you'll have a soft landing when you arrive. Now please exit my cockpit and return to your seats. Hit the thumbs up button on this video, subscribe to my channel, and enjoy some of my other videos while you relax. Once we reach an altitude of 1 mile, all you club members will have full use of the lavatories.